Yo, you might need to zoom out.
Oh, you're live. I know.
What's up?
You're live.
Oh, we're live? That's too
Welcome,
funny.
everyone.
Yeah. All right, welcome everybody. We have the Albion Giants Legend Division. For you, we have the Washed facing up against Disabled Tables, and this is the last week before playoffs, of course. The winner will get the number 2 seed and a first round bye. This is Dinosaur joined by Spirited Book. Spirited, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to see some games. Excited for this last week of play. Obviously, it's gonna be a big deal going into these playoffs. So I'd like to see what these teams like to bring and where they're gonna be finally seated. I think.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an exciting prospect. Anytime you have like playoff implications, it's always a fun game to watch, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, playoffs are a little bigger deal, but seeding is important. There is maybe a notion, at least around the pro scene, that doesn't matter because you have to be able to beat any team anyways. Spirited, what are your opinions on that take?
I mean, it is a big deal. I think, though, at this level of play, you're more looking for pretty much any win you can potentially get. So in this case, being a first round bye is pretty massive. I think the less people you have to play, the more prep time that you have. Even in SPL, I think you could argue the more prep time you have versus a team you've seen them play 5 or 6 games or however many, and that's just more information about your opponents. So I mean, at this level, I think it does matter. So we will kind of just have to wait and see what these teams bring and how they're going to take it.
Yeah, and I think the things are a little bit different too, right? We're not quite up at that professional level, so there might be like a rock paper scissors type of situation going on where one team has a play style that you'd prefer maybe not to play against, or that could particularly beat you, or maybe they're particularly proficient on gods that you're not well off to handle.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's also important. Like I've already kind of harped on this, but the less you show, the better. But also, it gives you another week as of scrim time. First round bye, you just
Mhm.
get more time to practice what you're good at, as well as what you struggle against. So anytime you just have more time to prepare, not only for your opponents but also for yourselves and your play style, I think is really important at this level.
Yeah, I guess you could also argue that a game is better than a scrim, right, for preparing you in some ways, especially the way some of my scrims go. Uh,
We don't talk about Dyna's scrims, do we?
no, nobody wants to talk about my Alquang support or anything like that.
No, 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 no.
Look, I'm not saying it's working in scrims, but the coach isn't hearing it when it comes time for P's and B's, and I think that it's time for P's and B's. Swap right on over right now. Look at that transition, almost like I'm a professional or something here. We're gonna wait for these to be locked in. Spirited, are there anything that you're expecting to be picked up right now, or
um,
anything banned particularly?
I was actually just about to mention Odin. Odin right off the table right away. Definitely seeing a lot of play as of late, but also those top picks right now. You'll be seeing there's the other one, RDO, RDO, Uller. I think some Tiamat still here and there potentially. Probably not as broken as she used to be, but Tia still seeing that high level play. We saw out of Shinto, I believe it was today, played it
Oof. Yeah,
against the Titans.
I looked at that game and I'm like, oh, they gave Shinto Tiamat.
Yeah,
I noticed that he had half of the team's kills.
yeah,
Don't think
still
there's a
pretty good.
coincidence there. Yeah, is Tiamat pretty good? Geb is really, really good. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of Geb right now. He's a lot of fun to play, and it's really nice that he's very good. And Kepri also in a good spot.
Yeah, I think two just really good Peel Guardians that I think are excelling at their role right now and just seeing a lot of general play. Two get two gods that peel a lot of single target, which I think we're seeing a lot of that in specifically the jungle role. Arguably one of the stronger roles since that recent patch to all those mace trees and recent item changes. As we see Gilgamesh locked in. Interesting
Arguably.
pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, arguably, sure. Yeah, I guess. You could argue anything, right? Here's Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is a god that we've seen sort of fall off since he saw that nerf, and it was actually a very substantial nerf. I believe 20 seconds was added to his ultimate, so now I think it's got about 120 seconds on the cooldown. But we have seen Gilgamesh pop up here and there, and I think that he certainly still has his use and can be very, very good in team fights with that Winds of Shamash ultimate.
Yeah, two gods. Well, Gilgamesh specifically, but just I think Zapman nailed it in an interview a couple about a year back from now. Just Hi-Rez has released gods with really good kits, not necessarily good numbers, just
Hmm.
good kits in general that will allow them to constantly see play. And I think Gilgamesh, as well on the flip side, Yamoja is one of those gods as well. Two gods that have been only nerfed since their release, have seen
Yeah.
some changes here and there in the kit, specifically Yamoja to that Omi, but their
Hmm.
kits are just so good that that allows them to see this play even to this time.
Yeah, I mean, Yamoja just has a lot of zone potential, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Gilgamesh. And Yamoja's got a little extra healing, which is helpful. But certainly, I think when you think of Yamoja, you think of like that Riptide, and the River's Rebuke kind of being used together just to lock somebody or some buddies down in that ultimate. But I think Cerberus also has a little bit of lockdown potential.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the way Disabled have taken their draft, where they're just kind of looking to pick and sort of their goal is to pick someone, and then the rest of the comp is designed to zone everyone else out with that Gilgamesh ult. Just lots of AoE or lockdown right now, and just potential zoning by way of just their big circles. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Washed have taken an interesting route. It feels like they're just kind of. I don't see an identity necessarily to their draft yet. It is sort of out there still, but I do like their first three selections of the KA, the Raijin, and the Yamoja. Just I think lots of other AOE. The KA just kind of there to be a warm, beefy body to soak up that damage and eventually be a damage sponge, but could also solo and a backliner because tanks are OP.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about like team compositions, but sometimes just picking like the meta gods that works. It's a lot less requirement on execution, right? If you pick an Odin and like an Ares, and then you pick, like a Ra, like you're expecting a combo to happen there, and if you can't get that combo off, well, you're kind of out of luck. And so sometimes maybe picking those more meta picks, like something you'd see for some Sanguine or the Leviathans, as they're called this season, it isn't atypical. Ravana, I wouldn't say necessarily fits within that, but with a Gilgamesh and a Cerberus, I'm not surprised to see them look towards maybe that CC immunity he has in his kit.
Right, and I think that's probably the big talking point of why they've gone for this selection is just the safety out of the jungler. The goal I think of Disabled are to pick somebody, and if your jungler dies at the start of fight, that's a huge win con for the Washed, I think, here with how their composition should play out with their four selections that have already been picked up. Across the way, Disabled tables, hovering Hui Terra, and it's just more AoE. Lots of big circles on top of big circles.
Yeah, they're looking for, I think, a lot of control. They got a lot of mapping potential right in there. I mean, Taro just rolls right in, right? Pops that ultimate, and you win a team fight pretty much. And that's
Yeah.
about the way that goes. And so, and against this Emoja does have some pressure, obviously, in the lane. But, you're not thinking like Yamoja is a W key, like run at them and kill kind of god. Although, Cernanos is certainly one of those options. Interesting to maybe think about playing a Cernanos into a Houyi, considering his leap is very good for dodging most of Cernanos' kit. But it's certainly a path, and I'm a big Cernanos fan myself. So
Yeah, I'm also a big Cernanos fan. I love that god. That kid is very fun to play, but that guy just dies a lot. No CC Immune Ultimate hurts him a lot. I will say though, with the recent Mace buffs, he's I think probably better than he has been for a hot minute. So I do like this sort of potential play we could see out of him. That being said, there's a lot of big circles that require immunity by way of CC immunity, and you don't have that out of Cernanos. You don't have that. This guy's gonna die a lot, and so I think that's where the Washed may have to look and say, okay, our ADC is gonna die a lot. we're gonna have to play through a mid, we're gonna have to play through a jungler, we're gonna have to set up for our soul laner to just kind of dive as much as humanly possible. Our Cernos, we're just gonna feed him to the wolves. We're gonna bait him as much as humanly possible and just say good luck, have fun, use your relics. If not, well, good luck. Across the way, I love Disable Tables comp. I love the direction they've taken of just we're gonna look for these AOE jungle fights, so to speak. We're gonna drop our big circles, our big ultimates, and we're just gonna blow up the wash as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that certainly if you look, there's potential there. Raijin's got a little bit of peel, so maybe he can help that Cernos out on the back line. But we'll find out as we toss it over to the cast with Supersonic Blur and TIH Vengeance. Take it away.
Thank you guys on the desk. And Blur, we're here for a Vikings division this week, actually, with the Wash versus Disabled Tables. And these comps looking a little interesting, seeing the Raven come out, and it's going to be against the Gilgamesh here.
It is. Now, the Gilgamesh, one we've seen a lot of prevalence in the most recent sort of time frame in the jungle. However, with the current shift towards the more heavy into the mace builds, very burst orientated, Gilgamesh not someone who necessarily utilizes those as well as others. This Ravan, on the other hand, has almost become the staple choice, I feel, of the assassin that can do everything. But we'll talk about that in a sec. Duo lane's getting aggressive.
Speaking of aggressive, though, first Blood's gonna go to Solo Me Please over in the mid lane, catching houseplants on a rough spot. So already, even with dual lane being this aggressive, the 500 gold is gone elsewhere. And Panda's in the rain is the one actually finding the worst end of it. And Kenny is gonna fall to Gamer Fletch with the help of his support Terra. And that's an interesting trade-off, especially with Panda and Kenny had the advantage.
Fringe gank, though, coming on in. Solo Me Please is over this way. I don't think they know about it yet. If they got anything, no, the 10-man Shadow Fist just misses. But this is what I want to see from this kind of team comp, is I want to see this Ravan really trying to push people hard. The early side of this game, you need to have someone have breathing room. Raijin offers a lot, so maximize on it. Push someone else further ahead, and getting that early first blood is a fantastic look. All right, you've got that pressure. Where else are you putting it? Duo lane could do with some assistance, so the alleviation, if nothing else, it stops this DT from getting further ahead in the duo lane, which is a nice pump to the brakes there.
As you mentioned, keeping Pandas in the rain alive was an important move, but now we have the gank coming over from Serene here, and he's looking to get in. The leap, however, is not on the right mark. Kenny using the portal to get himself knocked up away from them, and they're actually going to go in on this one. Nice little placement, but the dual lane is still here, so they're going to help out their jungler. But 8 goes in, and no one else turns around.
No one else did.
A little bit too much poke there. Both teams going to be safe for now, though.
Well, both teams on the duo lane might be. Booz and Bo might not be quite so safe. Buffs respawning, and that's where Solo Me Please is. I love this sort of, I don't want to say like scattergun approach, because that makes it sound like nothing's been effective, but Solo Me Please has gone, put pressure in mid lane, straight over to duo lane, try and put pressure. Now I'm over the solo side. It's very difficult for a jungler to do something like that. A lot of the times we see it more, I'm going to sit in one lane and focus it out, and then I'll gank maybe another lane, and then I'll come back and focus that lane. This approach is trying to keep everyone on the wash as clean looking as possible. And when you've got this kind of a comp, the Raijin's now level 5, they're fine enough to try and set something up in the mid lane. Before then, you just want to try and fight wherever you can, and dual lane's been fairly aggressive, as we see again both these two teams trying to slap it out and use that sustain in both their healers as best they can.
Now, speaking of this dual lane, we've got a Cernos Yamoja versus this Terra Yi combo, and Blur builds being similar. Who are you favoring in this heads up? Because we've already seen Fletch get the first kill out of the lane. Direction when it's just them, it seems to go back and forth.
It is certainly going back and forth. I think it's whoever ends up coming out the better with the CC. We see Kate trying to be the first one to start this. Yamoja very fine to be able to sit back and let that happen, re-heal everyone up. I think it comes down more towards just hard clearing the wave, especially this early on. Nobody's got the ults yet, so everyone's going to want to try and get those ultimates online. And if you can get that level 4 versus level 5 fight, you find you're in a fantastic position. But level 5's now out as ultimates start a fly.
And we see already Krojuro gonna use his trying to get an advantage over Buzenbo, but he's not deterred. Just gonna go right back towards his tower, play it safe, make sure he gets his farm. Over in mid lane, it looks like the jungler is going to group up with his mid laner. They may be looking for an opportunity here, and Houseplants is caught, but he's not going to be affected by any damage or CC. So instead, he's going to dash right under the tower, stay safe, and they're going to have to try and do what they can. But over in duo lane, we see this wave going absolutely free for the Wash, so they get to push it in, hopefully get some under the tower. It doesn't look like that's going to be allowed, and with junglers here now, we see the ultimate's trying to be used, looks like, but instead Serene, he's gonna stick by his solo laner and just back off.
Well, they may have been waiting in for Kate, and I think the Wash know about that as well, so they back off. But blink forward in. They're going to try and keep going with aggression, but it might not be working out for them. Serene's taking way too much damage.
Too much damage, but with Kate getting there just in time with the ult, gonna provide some healing. His jungler's gonna back on up, but here comes Kenny, gonna use his own ultimate, bring the rivers up, crashing down onto the support. And with Raijin here, you're not making it out. Solo me, please. Will find the second kill for himself and his team at 5.5 minutes in. This one's been fairly tame so far.
It has been tame, but I would say that the temperament of the game has been anything but, as we see again, just this whole situation constantly going in. Houseplants gonna get dove here in the mid lane, hiding away in the Trickster's shot there, but he's gonna be able to turn it into a 1-for-1. Phenomenal play coming out there with the erratic behavior, juking inside that fog. But unfortunately, they will still go down.
Speaking of going down, Serene getting caught up by Solo Me, but he's not gonna push up anymore. Instead, he's gonna have to back off, probably find his way back into base, heal up, spend a little bit of that gold if he can. In the meantime, Solo Me is gonna continue farming up, getting the neutral harpies on this right-hand side, possibly going for the left ones as well.
And that'll be a great look for them. And this is one of the things that I think is going to probably bite Disabled Tables a little bit, is that engagement over on the right-hand side. As soon as Kate was rotating, my mind was going, right, where's Houseplants? Are they going to make a rotation in? What are they doing if they're not? And they just kind of meandered around the mid lane, maybe got the red buff, and then kind of sat as if there wasn't a fight going down that they knew was happening. Meanwhile, we look at what HD does. HD goes, right, clear, push over to that side of the map. I will help the rest of my team turn it around. And it ends up in a 3v4 situation. So this Raijin already showing more of an eagerness to want to fight. And speaking about that eagerness, let's see if it transitions over to the duo lane.
Serene going in best he can, trying to start something. Kate even following up, but unfortunately they're not able to find anyone trapped in. And Clutch, he's lurking around the corner, trying to find himself a little something, but he's going to get CC'd instead. He's going to get collapsed on as well. The drop kick with the beads will be forced, allowing him to get further away. Taiko drums coming out, trying to do everything they can. The damage is there, and with Solo Me, please, here's Serene. It's not looking hot. The sun's come down, not hitting the target, however. Serene still alive, gets the kill onto Clutch. How is he avoiding all this? In time, is able to leap away as well. The blink, the return blink, and he is gone.
That said, the fight's still going in a 3v3. Out comes the River's Rebuke. It will isolate out Kate, but they will be able to slip away just in time to be able to avoid the collapse as well, ending in what I believe was a 1-for-none. Like you mentioned, Serene on the barest of HPs there. I don't know how they lived either. Shell wasn't popped. I think that was all just coming through from the ultimate from Terra right there. That blessing certainly living up to its name. Health coming back in the form of a little bit of a healing, a little bit of mitigation as well. Very nice to be able to have that, and then just communication with the team to say, hey, I'm out, don't keep this going. That's the end of that. It expended a lot across the entire map. Or across the entire breadth of the players who are over on that side of the map. So really nice to see both these teams fight. The Houseplants as well, huge ultimate. Great rotation at the end there, buying the time with the two Strife. That also gave Serene just a little bit more of a grace period as well to be able to slip away. So great work there. 3 for 3, and gold pretty much even here. DT now looking to try and grab themselves some of the neutral farm to regain the situation a little bit closer to home. That said, they're not going to get away with it for free.
Buzenbo gets taken up in the air and put back down. Kroger, they want to secure this one, but instead Buzenbo, with the help of his jungler, is going to find the kill. Clutch comes in, returns onto the solo. Serene will take down the support, and Taiko drums in a bad spot. He's got to get out, but he's... no. Too little,
Don't
too
one by
late.
one.
Needed to cancel it sooner or leap out, but Solo Me Please. He wants another return, make something a little more worth, but he's not going to be able to. Kate, a little too tanky right now.
Just a little bit here. One of the things that is interesting about just a sec, dual lane, seeing a few fireworks or suns at the very least go on down. Gamer trying to get a little bit of a leeway here, and I think that is important for this whole Yeet. Really needs to try and put some dominance into this lane. They have some great boxing potential, and with this Crusher on both of these two, now we're seeing the difference. Ichval most likely coming out for Pandas in the rain, really wants to try and abuse this boxing, whereas Gamer opting for likely the RC, so a little bit more sustain versus a little bit more raw power. Whoever gets that item online first is going to have dominance in lane for quite a bit of time.
Definitely something to keep an eye on as this game moves forward, but we see the ultimate being used by houseplants to deter the washed mid and support from pushing any further. Does hit clutch there, so damage numbers will be there. Serene on this right side, he's staring Solo Me Please down. Clutch is here as well. He's gonna have to be a little careful. Manages to leap away just safe, and the neutral Harpy is gonna go the way for the washed.
As they have done quite consistently at this point in time, reaching the 10-minute mark. Still no major objectives been looked at. The Scorpions have both been taken down. Polymorph comes out, but there's the kill that they wanted to go for. Sick play, even you sneezed at that point, but unfortunately, we are going to see Cardinals end up falling down there. Pandas in the rain. Still not got that Ichval online, so Game & Fletch really wanting to push hard on that objective push. However, what they're going to do now that they've got a man advantage?
No, speaking of that man advantage, Solo Me Please trying to do what he can. The up down doesn't hit because of the leap from Serene, and he manages to get the kill just in time, but the Raiju ticking down will give a kill over to Clutch on the return. Kate here, but not alone. Houseplants nearby. Clutch is having to back off with Kenny. Both teams gonna fall out instead. No longer pushing this. Oracle's gonna be claimed by Fletch. This Gold Fury, 11.5 minutes in. There's an opportunity for tables to get something going for that.
They're going to try for it. It looks like a red buff, so everything's going to break on out. Ultimates are flying left, right, and center. Let's see where the damage sticks, though.
Pandas in the rain taking the brunt of it, but on the back end from Taiko drums to the Raiju and the drums themselves. Kate taking a lot of damage. Rain's going to claim the kill on the Fletch, and they're having to go further away. Clutch, he's not wanting to let this go, but with the double dash coming through, he's going to have to walk away. Krojiro getting the solo kill over in solo lane, however, so that's going to allow a bit of a tower push once he clears this wave. Possibly free him up for a rotation if his team decides that they want to go for the Gold Fury.
I mean, Gold Fury wouldn't be too bad of a call. Maybe try and bait that out. Both teams with a little bit of sustain to their name. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but there was a lot expended in that last engagement to try for it. But that was the first major fight I think we've seen Wash come out on top without anything going down particularly badly for them, and it all just comes down to how quickly they can get on the jump. The last time the DT came around this blue buff side, HT Clutch was picked off almost immediately. Straight away they were the focus of the target. This time, Clutch is around the wall, no one has sight on him, and immediately just gets the free cast Taiko drums. Huge damage coming through for them, so really nice work there. Recognizing how DT had played the last fight and adapting to it this time.
Now, one thing I do want to talk about is some of these builds. If we get an opportunity here, is a little skirmishes breaking out, but everyone backing off, so far nothing gonna come of it. But looking at these junglers, there's a little bit of a difference in this build path. We see Hydra's Lament picked up second, whereas his Brawlers over on Solo Me.
I really like the Brawlers. I think Brawlers, with its buff at 50 power and its passive with the penetration it's got, honestly, you don't need to have a healer on the enemy team to want to pick up Brawlers. If you're ever unsure what you want to go for, if you've got a Jotuns, pick up a Brawlers. It's 50 power, 15 pen, and you just have the healing from potions, lifesteal, whatever ends up hitting them, reduced by 40%, which is absolutely massive. And now this means that when that Earthen Fury or Terra's Blessing, whichever one it is, comes on out, or that Monolith, that little bit of healing comes on out, it's not doing as much. You're still getting the prots from Lotus Crown, which is still going to be a thing, but it's just not as much. We might see that come into play as DT want to try and pressure out Krojiro here over on the right-hand side. The Washed are regrouping now. They might be able to turn it around.
So Kate's going to be the one collapsed
there
on.
We go.
He's getting burned so fast. Krojiro is going to be the one who claims that kill. The rest of the members of the Wash start coming in from behind. The only ones not here are going to be the ADCs. Pandas in the rain actually might be in trouble if Gamer Fletch catches him out. Does go over the wall. He's looking for
You went
opportunity.
into that?
Oh,
That's
Ricochet
greedy.
goes through with the mark on him as well for the extra damage. Gets the kill, but we see Krojiro. He's taking the brunt of the ultimate coming out from Houseplant, chasing him down as well. Aegis is forced to Stygian Torment to delay further, and Krojiro gets a bunch of return damage as well. Houseplant's nearly finding the kill. Tier 1 tower left is gonna go down to Gamer Fletch. The first tower of this game down about 15 minutes in. With that happening, these teams, they've decided to back off each other. Well, we're back to square one.
Not quite square one, like you mentioned. That tower going down is a permanent thing now for the map that DT have down. Now we may see Fletch looking to try and head on over out of this duo lane now that they've succinctly won that. The Gold Fury's now up, so they can start making their way over here. But this is DT's game plan. This comp is designed to say, hey, we pick up absolutely everyone, and all our AoE hits them. Stygian Torment, Strife, hell, even just the way that Kate can funnel people around with the walls and things. This is something that this team comp loves to do, and the AoE they've got around with them is phenomenal. The Winds of Shamash is another great example of keeping everyone in place, and if they're not in place, you've got others who can pick them up and put them in their place as it is.
Oh, we saw both teams briefly group around that Gold Fury and then separate very quickly when they saw how much from each was there, and the XP difference we see after that fight. DT taking a 2300 XP lead overall. The gold lead is not as bad, but that XP lead is going to give some level advantages with some power behind it. And Clutch taking quite a bit of poke there just from the initial hit from that ability, so gonna have to be careful pathing through these jungles. You don't want to give your enemy anything free. 16 minutes in, just a couple hundred gold difference. 6 to 5 for towers, 9 to 8 for kills. These teams do not want to give up an inch.
Keep an eye on Boozenbow, though. They've made the rotation. The Arthur is not. I believe it was spotted out by sight there. So Boozenbow's done their job, keeping everyone away. But if they're not careful, multiple members are back. In fact, 3 have gone back now. Gold Fury is being started up. Kenny takes note of it. Drops the Rips Repute. Will they be able to keep them busy, though, as more members come in?
But drops the stuns, helping Serene out. But Solomon gets caught out by Boozenbow, and he's going all in the Stygian Torment, and he does enough for DT to get the Gold Fury. Even bringing a couple members back, but now the full surge from the Washed is coming through. Oh, the ultimate from Houseplants is gonna just barely miss, but it's enough to cause a separation for Washed not to be able to continue their chase. Krojiro, he's the only one who's gonna go the other way, but unfortunately, he's not gonna be able to find anything. So these members of Wash, they're looking to even out this duo lane instead in the tier 1 towers, which will give them a 1 tower lead.
Hey, I will take that ult from Houseplants at that point. Literally splitting the uprights, but it made the members stop and move out of the way. Because if not, they cannot keep that chase going at all. They either take a huge amount of damage and lose the fight, or disengage the fight and don't win it. Which is honestly the safer option there. So I am fine. Like, we've always memed about, oh, zoning ults from the mid lane. Ha, it's funny. No, that was a zoning ult. If anyone gets hit by that, you win the fight. If not, they disengage. Either way, you come out clean on that. So I'm totally fine with that. And with the CDR they've got, they are more than comfortable throwing out that ultimate. Though I do want to go back. Absolutely perfect time to pull that Gold Fury from DT. They saw King Arthur was on the right-hand side. If he wants to rotate over, he's got to take a long walk to come on over here. They may have even seen him potentially back on like a last dying minion. We then had also 2 more members from the Washed who backed at the same time. DT knew that that was practically free. They even get Yamojo out of it, and now they're going to try something similar here, but Krojiro has other ideas.
Yeah, he takes one up. Instead, they're going to try and burn the ultimate to take him down, but he's getting away. However, the dropkick puts him in place for just a moment. Boozenbow is going to go and take the tower a little bit, but Krojiro will find the first kill of this fight onto Serene. And with members of both teams showing up, they're going to try and do what they can. This Cerberus is just not willing to take that much damage, just finally now getting to half health. And with Raijin here, he's actually finally going to fall. That Raiju tick doing quite a bit of damage onto him. Kate, houseplants, they're trying to do what they can in the mid lane. Both ADCs fighting. So this is a 4v2 on this right-hand side. With Pandas in the rain going
Full
straight
fire?
for the Pyromancer, his teammates are going to join.
Oh, I thought they were going to go full fire with all 5 members there. They still could if they wanted to, but that ding does let the members from DT know that the Pyromancer was on the docket, so no real worries to try and go in. I would like to see the Fire Giant there. I think in that 4v2 situation, or even if it was a 5v3 situation, I think you're still more than happy to take that engagement. That said, no harm, no foul. They are going to find themselves up now. Around 2,000 gold are the washed, and with the builds coming online, if we take a quick peek into those, Jotun's Wrath now finished online for Solo Me Please, looking into probably a serrated edge if I had to guess. A lot of penetration in this build, a very staple item, a little bit of sustain if they feel they should need it as well. So Solo Me Please is going to not solo or get solo, they are going to solo anyone else on the map if they get that Mystic Rush off. If we look as well further on, Panda's bit of a stranger build here. The kin size is not what we're used to seeing. Normally it's the crit that Gamer Fletch is going in, and let's hope that crit comes in useful for them now as they're fending off 2.
He's an Aegis forced immediately by Solo Me, just hitting the root, going for the hand slap, do a little bit more damage. But he's going to find himself to safety, but this could mean trouble for Fletch in the next fight unless his team pulls up some big CC combos immediately. But Kate pushing forward all alone, getting caught out, and Green coming in on the back end. They're trying to help the support the best they can, forcing the ultimate as well. Not just from Kate, but from the jungler as well. And that's quite a bit down for DT.
Certainly is, and that's all that major team fight potential that we were talking about earlier gone the way of just fleeting escapes at this point. Now though, look at what the Wash are trying to do. They've got an Oni Fury coming up in about a minute or so. They want to try and set themselves up for. Mid tier 1 is all but gone if they so much as decide to look at it, and Crozier is doing exactly what King Arthur's supposed to do and press every button on whoever they can find in front of them.
Temporary root hit by the mark along with the ricochets. Crojo decides to get out of there and go towards his team. Wash gonna make a move towards the Oni Fury that you just mentioned, spawning here in a few seconds. But DT, they're still nearby. They do not want to give this one up for free. Crojo's actually gonna find a stun onto Fletch, who for some reason is way ahead of his team. Houseplants getting chunked quite a bit as well. Instead, Kate finally coming to the front line, Serene around the corner. Uzenbo on the back end, though, is huge. Stingy Torment forcing beats and throwing Kenny to the front. A lot of damage coming through there, but instead, the back end, we see Solo Me take down Houseplants. Fletch, he's gonna fall to clutch as well. Fletch will take Kenny down in return. And is in the rain, has Serene on the back end. He will get the kill there as well. It's a 1 for 3 going the way of the Washed, and Oni Fury will be their prize.
So as we saw being mentioned there by Batu on the camera, upgraded Cursed Onk. This is the Achilles heel for every Terror. If you're in a game and there is a Terror on the enemy team, buy a Cursed Onk and upgrade it. The moment they pop that ult, you pop Cursed Onk, bam, you have flipped the tables on their heads. That mitigation that they were getting now is damage increase they are taking. They have reduced healing. They are not healing pretty much at all with the amount of anti-heal this team has got. And so it just meant that Solo Me Please, Clutch, Pandas in the Rain, all 3 of them were going, well, I'm not scared of you anymore. I can just fight you. And whoever was in front of them just melted like butter in the rain, and a particularly hot rain at that, maybe a summer's day as it were. But that is a huge swing for them there. And DT just didn't really have that follow-up. We saw K get some good CC after the game of Fletch got poked out a little bit. But then Fletch wasn't in a position to be able to go back in and use any of that, and felt a little bit dissuaded from the engagement. So it's up to Serene and Buzenbo, and whilst they've got good CC for it, they really don't have the damage. As we see a nice little kill there, kill cam Kenny steal away. Good job there. Didn't go and pick it up, which is a little unfortunate. That's always the support's, like, cinching thing, the reason you play support. Any buff that's invaded, that's yours. You get that buff.
Well, we see both teams doing a little bit of farming here and there in DT, trying to get what they can after losing. The blue buff don't want the Wash coming through and taking anything for free. Oracles being picked up by Fletch as well. And they're going to start grouping And Wash, they've got their grouping starting around this Pyromancer, more specifically around where the Pyromancer is going to be spawning here in a few seconds. And DT, they're trying to play safe and play around this. Serene, he wants to play on this back end, but he's going to have to walk over a ward over to get to where they're positioned. As he gets spotted out, someone should be calling on the back end, but no one's turned around quite. There goes Solo Me, please, but goes charging is DT. They force back the Washed, and that's a complete good disengage from Wash, not allowing them to get engaged on.
I love the fact that they didn't actually just immediately turn in on Serene. That said, turning in back on towards the Pyromancer. Out comes the River's Rebuke. It pulls one member back in. They're trying to catch out members, but everyone from DT has disengaged. Kojiro, though, blinks on deep.
Finds Fletch, takes him up in the ult, brings down and finishes him off. Pandas in the rain, gets Serene on the back end. Buzenbo trying to do what he can to get out, and Krojiro, he's just stalling as long as he can. Teammates finally getting there. Kate's gonna get the stun, but it doesn't matter. Clutch will take Kate down, and Panda's in the rain, full charge, wants to get house plants. Buzenbo with the blink can be enough to get him away from the teleporter. Clutch, oh my, Krojiro, the distance on that stun, cleaning up the kill. 2 kills in this fight, a 4 or none overall. The Washed are asserting their dominance.
And Krojiro does so much work. 3 members, Houseplants, Kate, and Gamer Fletch. All of them disengaged from that engagement. Nothing really that can keep them from going back in. If they want to go back in, they're going back in on their terms. Krojiro blinks straight past, kicks one straight up with the ultimate. At that point, it's a 3v1 that they just decimate through everyone with their abilities to just sit there in the back line, juke out what they need to juke out. Very important they do the cripple, which they are able to do so. And then it's just Serene and Buzenbo in the back trying to deal with everybody else. And there's no way you can do that. Even if this was 2 full front lines and a tankier Gilgamesh, we weren't in a burst meta, you can't expect them to be able to survive something like that. So really great work from the Washed. And then to be able to converge back together. You had 2 points. Do we fight Buzenbo? Do we go help Krojiro? And they are able to separate out nice enough to where that isn't feeling like they made a bad choice. They're able to push down the tier 2. Fire Giant now on all members. A 10,000 gold lead. With only 2 tier 2 standing, they can even start looking at Phoenixes with this first FG.
Well, even with that lead, Wash do still have to be careful not to make any big mistakes. But Blur, DT in this position, what is it they need to do to start making that comeback?
It's gotta be how well they take these kind of engagements. The Wash now have been dictating these fights a lot of the time. I think on their Siege, they have a phenomenal comp for this. The amount of displacement they've got can keep someone stuck under Phoenixes for so long that it's gonna cause problems for them. However, what you can't afford to do is lazy back in the middle of mid lane.
Sat by trying to protect houseplants, but okay, never mind.
Okay, never mind.
Follow me, please. Is the one who falls thanks to the ultimate of houseplants, setting up the opportunity. Kate taking him down, and now Krojiro being collapsed on by more members is trying to find anything he can while staying alive. His team now joining up, but they've already lost one. Kate is going to fall in return, but that's support for the jungler who had Fire Giant.
That's absolutely massive. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take it back. That wasn't a lazy back in mid lane. That was an executed trap. Set up perfectly, albeit the later part where they lose Kate wasn't planned. But that right there, probably a great way to turn around the engagement is actually seeing some life in the mid lane. Seeing this golden apple of Discordia hit and land. Really, really big and important kill for them. It's not, when you think about Fire Giant, the jungler is almost a secondary thought. It's like, oh, well, you've got the mage, they do lots of damage. The hunter, we can't let them hit the objectives. The front line, we can't let them sustain. Jungler kind of exists somewhere between all of those. So taking it off Solo Me Please, who's had a huge impact in sort of spearheading a lot of the aggression throughout this game. I think it's nice to be able to take that, especially on Houseplants, who, as for their first kill, is a really big one for them here.
No, and that is honestly probably the best that the ET could hope that back in mid could have gone. Kate being the only one falling for a Fire Giant jungler is a huge trade in favor of DT. Yes, they're losing their towers, but this is expected when the Wash with this lead is having the Fire Giant. You see the graphs here, they've lost a little bit of that gold lead that they had, it's kind of mellowed out. That tower slowdown is going to go a little deeper, but you saw the XP as well. It jumped up just a little bit, not too much because there's only one member falling. But Blur, we're looking at something that if DT are able to do that away from Phoenixes, I'm concerned what they can do under a Phoenix if the Wash isn't careful.
100% agreed, and that's what I was mentioning about with their siege. If you get a golden apple of Discordia and you've got 3 members locked in a situation that they cannot escape from, that damage spreads ridiculously. It is Heart Bomb if Heart Bomb was a nuke. That's I've always described this ability, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. You get a good bit of cripple, nice little bit of, you know, CC on it, but then the fact that you can't go near any of your allies at all, or you spread that damage, which is detrimental to the entire team, and honestly, like, could be completely game changing kind of situation. You can't afford to do that. And now what we see, what could have been the Wash knocking on Phoenixes, putting out a lot of pressure there, is now them having to tend to wait for the second Fire Giant here. Now, granted, they are in an absolutely phenomenal position, and they are hungrily looking to try and expand out their ward vision as best they can. But even so, it's still not as much as they would have potentially wanted here.
No, they're going to have this little advantage, not just wards, but position as well. Booze and Bone Cake going to be the ones furthest up, trying to see any opportunity they can for engagement, or even just trying to check on Fire Giant if it's being started or not. And right now, the Washed, they're being careful not to get too far forward. They don't want to create opportunity for their backline to get destroyed. And right now, it's kind of that Fire Giant dance, we like to call it, that's just been going back and forth. With Fire Giant now spawning in, Washed, they're going to be looking for opportunities here, and I'm sure DT are aware.
Yeah, they certainly are going to be one leading this Argentinian tango over this side. That said, DT are going to try and poke them out where they can. Pyromancer taken and a cursory glance just for something to do. And now it's just going to be that battle of poke. We see this a lot where it tends for metas, is regardless of the meta, the slower you play it, the better. But that said, Kenny's going in now.
Comes up Rojiro, he's going in the backline trying to find the follow-up, but Houseplants, that ultimate's gonna hit Solo Me Please again, but it's not a lot of damage. Panda is gonna take Buzenbo down in the backline, and in comes Kate. A nice little double root there coming in from the mid laner. Fletch finds Solo Me. Rojiro is going in trying to find the return, forcing Aegis, takes Kate up in the air, not too much damage, but when he lands, Clutch says there's the damage we're looking for. And this support trying to get away, the double dash is going to come through. And these 4 remaining members of DT doing everything they can to stay alive and get out, stay safe. Do not create opportunity for the Wash. It's a 1-for-1 overall, but DT doing exactly what they needed to do.
Indeed, they are. They're able to consolidate. They got a little bit separated, Buzenbo and Serene trying to go with their combo. That said, Serene is able to get away, and look at the damage output they're able to do. But Panda's in the rain thanks to Fire Giant and locks Serene in place. And there is no grace better than that of watching Fire Giant help take down your enemy. Such a nice look. And now it's another 4v5 situation for the next 35 seconds.
I'm not gonna lie, Pandas in the rain had no business surviving that, but the beautiful timing on the dash after the burst damage got him a kill in the meantime, as you mentioned, with the help of the Fire Giant. Just perfect timing from his end just to secure his own life and making sure that, if anything, DT will be the ones at a disadvantage. So Serene's gonna be off the board for another 20 seconds. In the Wash, they're gonna get this Fire Giant for seemingly free. But DT, they are stepping up. This is a quarter health Fire Giant. It goes in, trying to find what he can. But on the back end, the damage from the Fire Giant helping. Pandas in the rain finds the kill. Solo Me Please takes down Houseplants as he's full sent forward. And now Buzenbo all alone. Fletch on the back end has to leave. Solo laner will fall. And now the Hui, the only one nearby. Krojiro is forward. Fletch needs to get out, return to the fountain, do anything to stay alive, because Krojiro, he doesn't care about that damage, and he's more than willing to turn around. Well, 2-man stand for the next 25 seconds. The Wash see the opportunity, and they're full setting towards the Phoenix.
And this is why I was saying a lot of the times at these high level games, we tend towards these slower, sustain based kind of comps because there's a lot more leeway in them to be able to try and poke it out. And now we're going to see that this is going to end up in not just a Phoenix Siege, but a Titan Siege now. One member standing. What can Serene do here?
8 spawns too little too late. You saw the shred come out onto the Titan, instantly gone in a matter of seconds. Washed managed to take game one in a convincing 34-minute fashion, 24-12 in kills, 3 towers standing, but that gold lead 17,000.
Absolutely phenomenal. And the way that this team took those team fights was absolutely commanding. Nobody on DT had any way of causing any kind of ripple or disturbance for more than a few seconds at best. And even when they were, it felt like for the wash, it was just, yes, we knew you were going to do that. Thank you. Now let's explain why you were wrong whilst you go back to the grey screen. That's how well they were playing these team fights. Even when they looked bad, they still came out on top.
No, just the early game did look to favor DT, but in the end, Washed. They're the ones who come out on top. But that's enough from us from on the cast side. We're gonna go ahead and throw it back to Dino Sir and Spirited Book on the desk to break down game number 1.
You're muted. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the desk. That's us. I'm Spirited Book, and this is Dino Sir, who's clearly just struggling with production tonight.
Yeah, it's not my day apparently. So, oh well. Yeah. So that was game one, and the wash ended up coming out on top. Very very close game up until probably about the 20-minute mark where it started to slip away from disabled tables. I do have one important note, I think, to take away from this game, so we're just gonna go ahead and there you go.
Yeah.
King
Oh,
Arthur's still annoying.
he's still,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that's a
Yeah, in case
fantastic drawing. Yeah.
in case you weren't aware, it turns out very, very, very annoying. And the way that Pro Giro piloted that pick, I would not be surprised to see that taken away from them. Coming into the second game, King Arthur starts out just meta proof. Just meta proof.
Yeah, still really strong and just kind of unkillable right now. I don't like how was it DT sort of played around the King Arthur. They kind of just said, "Yo, there's going to be a King Arthur that runs at our backline. Let's just try and ignore him and deal with everyone else." But I don't know. I don't think you can do that. You can't ignore the king. He is the king for a reason. You can't ignore the king of Camelot. And so therefore I do agree. I don't mind seeing it being let through, I think, for game 2, but I think you have to change your game plan, how you play around it. I think you got to go back to the drawing board against this pick.
Yeah, you either have to ban it or you're gonna have to at least consider it, because no shot, if I'm Crojiro, I'm not picking up that King Arthur. Coming into game 2, I wanted to touch on the Cernanos real quick. Cernanos had a pretty good performance. We kind of put a question mark on that going into the match, and we're like, well, are they gonna have enough peel? What's gonna happen exactly? And it seemed like Crow was able to make enough space that it didn't matter.
Right. I agree. I think just a pick that just kills frontline with that one, the passive on that one, that just the autumn stance specifically, that just kind of works as a mini executioner. You don't need to build the item if you have it in your kit. And so I think it's a great pick to just kill frontline with. And you talked a bit about it with when Kurjiro is just zoning, you just kill this Cerberus who is just diving for you, and if that's the only one diving you, you're gonna be fine. You only have to beat the Cerberus ultimate.
Hmm.
There's just
Yeah.
no pressure on the backline. He gets to free cast, and alongside his Raijin, who's gonna deal buckets of damage and also peel by way of that. There's nothing to worry about if you're a Cernanos.
Yeah, it's kind of living on easy street, but I think you still have to be able to play that Cernanos well, and certainly Pandas did play Cernanos well, and
Yeah.
we were both happy. Both Cern fans here, pretty happy with that Cernanos pick. I mean, Raijin just did what they were supposed to do ultimately, and so we talked about the team comp that Disabled Tables had going into it, how it was kind of a little bit more I don't want to say execution, but it is more team minded, right? Team battle focused. But ultimately, when it came down to it, right, the Wash just executed better on their team fights.
I agree. I think they executed their game plans to perfection, and I think they punished what disabled tables didn't do, if that makes sense. Their front line was just kind of staggering their sort of dive and not going in as a unit, not as two, not as three. It was very convoluted, like messy, and so Wash just punished that really well, and I thought they stuck to their style of play really well. They didn't worry about their early lead that the DT had. They just focused on, okay, once we get our farm, once we get to our sort of power spikes, we're gonna force the objectives. We're gonna force the fights that we want to take where we want to take them.
Hey, Spirited,
Yeah.
what if I told you that
Mhm.
right now we
Oh,
could know what's going to happen in game 2 picks and bans because they're ready. Would
sounds like
that excite you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good. That sounds like a good time. That sounds like a good Sunday night to me.
Hmm.
Um, it's how I'd like to spend my my turkey days, as of course here in Canada.
Right.
It is actually Turkey Day for us this
Wow.
weekend. Yeah, I know, right?
And I
It's
wish
pretty wild.
the positives of living in Canada they just keep accumulating, man.
They really
Like
do.
here in America, I still got like another like month and a half until Turkey Day, and that just, it saddens me as a fat man.
I know.
Well,
Anyways, picks and bans here. Washed versus ET game 2. First thing I want to note is Uller being banned by the Wash this time around.
mhm,
They're the ones focusing on those sort of picks, and it is actually kind of the same bans from both sides. Interesting, Washed are banning out Ardio and Uller though, because they're kind of saying we don't want these picks. We're just gonna get rid of them. We're not gonna look at them. And it's a Hui Yi ban, a shot at Gamerflesh. Very surprised about that one. I mean, maybe Panda in the Rain just doesn't want to deal with that 1v1 potential. And I don't mind it actually. If your game plan is we're playing for that mid to late and you don't want to worry about getting soloed a couple times, just ban out the god and then pick what you want.
sure. I mean, let's be honest. The Hou was kind of popping off a little bit there until there was like a like
Who was it?
was it a knight, a
It was
prince?
no, it was a king. It was a king.
Oh,
Yeah.
King Arthur. That's right.
He's that guy
Yeah,
that
he's him.
yoinked that sword from the stone, and then everyone said, "Oh, now he's king." Because that's how lordships and titles work, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let anyone
Yeah,
tell you
thank you.
otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, there's like a lottery, and then they just pull a name from a hat.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think a wizard was involved as well.
Mm, those darn wizards
Those
and their
darn
magics.
wizards.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
see that darn wizard here. I think that it is interesting to see the Washed opt to take out Artio because obviously that's like when you're thinking of countering King Arthur, boom, right? It's Artio kind of the first god that comes to your mind. But then they opt to pick Guan Yu instead of the King Arthur. Well, I say instead. That Guan Yu could possibly be a jungle or even a support pick, I guess. Probably not where I'd want them, but that's
Could
the
could
possibility.
could be jungle, and it's not terrible into the Gilgamesh matchup. Not being able to sort of be kicked back, I think, in a 3 stance. I'm not sure if that's how that works. I can't remember. Me and analysts talking about that interaction. This is more so what I was sort of concerned about is I don't understand the Guan Yu top pick. I would have much rather see that Yemo, but maybe it's just sort of looking for those gods and see if they can get away with the sort of lack of jumps on DT in those top 2 slots. Of course, each of them have jumps, but that Yamoja Guan Yu sustain comp, and this is kind of the going back to that style of play that the Wash did so well in game 1, where it's just play the sustain game. Across the way, DT had a Terra of their own. We'll see if they go back to that, which they don't. They go with a Nike instead. So wouldn't mind seeing a Terra ban, even though it wasn't the greatest performance out of Kate. I've definitely seen her play a better performance on other gods. So wouldn't mind seeing a different option here, but could ban it away is the Wash just to get rid of that sort of heal versus heal gameplay we all love to see in Smite.
So you're saying Kate's performance wasn't terrible? I'm just gonna let the awkwardness build.
Yeah, I think we just let that go. DT banned King Arthur, interesting enough.
Yeah, sure.
Which is interesting because that tells me that DT think this Guan Yu is not going in the soul lane, and they do think it's a jungle pick. As they also banned the Kakulin as Cthulhu Cabrakan
Yeah.
across the way, which I'm not sure why Cthulhu was necessarily banned, especially because Nike was picked.
Well, it could.
It
Okay,
could be
so
support.
yeah, Nike could be support. Gilgamesh could be support. We've even seen Gilgamesh and support at like the SPL level occasionally. I guess now Sobek kind of seals that as not going either one of those to support. Um, uh, but maybe they were just looking and they're like, hey, this Cthulhu, this is really gonna hurt us. Or I mean, Cabrakan obviously that the ultimate there could definitely wall off a Guan Yu, which could be problematic if you're using that Cabrakan in that support role. So I'm not sure what's up with those bans, but that's what they decided to ban, and they decided to this time take the Ravana.
I will say with the Washed's composition and how they want to play, a Cthulhu does sort of really hinder how they want to play their style of play, which is, we kill people really well, but you can't kill a Cthulhu, a giant tentacle monster, really well because he's nigh unkillable at times. And with the Soul ADC, I imagine this is Soul ADC. This has got to be Soul ADC unless you see a Purse ADC
Surely.
or something.
Um,
I mean, Soul doesn't do well, I think, into Cthulhu. Not able to build that kin size. That item, I think, does really well into him. You are able to go items like Telkind Soul Reaver, but that's not ideal on your Soul ADC. So I don't mind the ban in general. And Cabrakan, another god that you just kind of struggle to kill with and is hard to kill, as well as those walls that you mentioned. That does mess up a lot of your composition, especially the not necessarily the Soul. I think with that Disapparate form, she is able to walk through those walls, but definitely the Ravana, the Guan, the Yamoja, all three struggle against those walls. So don't mind seeing that ban either.
yeah. Hey, did you notice anything weird being
Yeah, a little
picked up
bit.
here? Does anything like stand out to you at all?
Gamer Fletch Charybdis.
Hmm.
I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a fan of the Charybdis in general right now. I think she's really bad as an
I
ADC.
I think I have a hot take. I think Charybdis is actually pretty good in comp. Theoretically, it's very tough to say because I haven't really seen her much in comp, obviously. But I think that immunity that you have in her 3 could be absolutely huge into heavy dive compositions. And when you're looking at maybe like a Guan Yu and a Ravana, I would say that's fairly heavy. Maybe not as heavy as I would necessarily want if I'm picking up a Cryptus. But I'm excited to see it played. That's for sure.
Yeah, I am. I'm also excited to see it play, and I will agree with you. I think against a dive composition, it is really good. The problem is you usually need someone in another role. Houseplants didn't necessarily, in my opinion, fit that style of being a carry mid laner. He had a really good game on the Discordia last game. We'll have to see. When you play Charybdis, you're kind of there to be dove, survive the dive, and then the rest of your team kind of pops up. Specifically, the mid laner in that other carry role. Houseplants doesn't strike me as necessarily a carry player, more of a supportive mid laner on that Discordia, and he had a great game, I thought, in game one, with those multiple strikes and that big ultimate that was almost always connecting. So we'll have to wait and see if he can play that sort of carry role. I think DT are actually set up really, really well to succeed in this game. Across the way, I think the Washed have a fantastic comp. Again, just this healing complements their play style of playing the slow game early and then just waiting for those team fights and then just playing those team fights really slow and then eventually hitting the gas pedal as soon as they have the advantage. So I think the Washed came away with a star of a draft, if you ask me.
Well, we will be able to see who came out the ultimate victor right now. Yeah, yes, that's right. Right now, Spirited, as we throw it over to the cast. Take it away, Vengeance and Blur.
Thank you, Dino and Spirited and Blur. Looks like we've had a little issue with Spectator here. We're 3 minutes in already, and Washed have gotten a 2-1 start. similar to game number 1, but as they mentioned, Gamer Flesh is on this Charm Disc, which is something new to comp here and fit into play as we see already in dual lane. Kenny got in between the support and ADC of DT. Not a lot of damage being done though, so he's just walking away.
And just walking away is fine for right now. I like what we're seeing here out of this comp, but we'll talk about it in a sec. It's all go time again in duo.
Serene comes and uses the ultimate, unable to find anything off of it. So they're gonna have to back off. Kenny finding himself half health, but this is Yamoja, so after building up some of their mana pool here, she can heal herself right back up. But Buzenbo, Rodro is just autoing him right in front of his tower as he's trying to clear the wave, and it's going to be an interesting sign for how the rest of this solo lane is going to go. Actually backing in front of him, almost looked like he was trying to bait, but again, not going to be that easy to deal with.
Not for now, and I think this is something that DT are going to be aware of, is this one you can't afford to get off to the same kind of a game that the King Arthur did. What they offer in terms of a team fight, while drastically different, amounts to the exact same thing. Pressure, pressure, pressure. In this form, it's not necessarily about this god locks you down for so long. As we're seeing here, it's just about this cavalry charge and what that offers.
And that offers a kill onto Serene going the way of Grojero. It all started with them just trying to invade that blue buff, but in return, the Tycho drops the house plant will claim one, but Clutch on the back end with the ultimate will return the kill onto the mid laner. And Buzenbo staying as far away from these two as possible, not wanting to give them a third. So 2-for-1 overall, and the invade on the blue buff going the way of the Washed, and themselves a 4-2 lead 5 minutes in, and they've also secured a 1,000 gold lead this time.
And this is really good because that what Krojiro can do can now start trying to transition that into other lanes or have other lanes come over. We sort of have this interesting thing where how do teams play with a Guan Yu, and the sort of the two main things boil down to either Guan Yu rotates to where the team fight's happening, or the team fights happen in solo lane. And now with some of those leads coming around, it feels slightly less of a sort of a problem if your team goes, yeah, we're going to fight in solo lane, especially with a 2-level lead sitting on Krojiro. There's a lot that they can pressure out there, and if DT want to try and even that out, who do they look at? Sol can play incredibly safe. They've got a full Bancroft now. They got some wards. They'll be peachy over in the duo lane, and it just means that the Washed win solo even harder.
Well, it's definitely something we want to keep an eye on going forward, but Krojiro, he's got that level and a half lead for now over in mid lane. A little bit of poke being done back and forth, nothing too serious. Both teams going back to farming what they can. Dual lane, Panda's in the rain actually did use the ultimate trying to take Fletch down. Not enough damage overall, so he's going to be safe under tower, but Panda's just going to sit here and freeze the wave. He doesn't care.
Do it.
Come to me, come to me. Fletch has to step up, but Panda's stepping up too, so right back to tower. He's losing enough farm here that this is not going to be a good sign. He is, however, healing. He did pop a health pot, so it's fine for him sitting back. He's not afraid to come back forward, but Kate is here now as well. Panda's in the range. He's going to use the Disapparate. Get as much damage off as possible, but on the back end is coming Kenny. Solo me, please. The blink in the root. The damage isn't enough, though.
Oh, no! He catches him!
Fletch is trapped momentarily, but manages to get out and did burn the beads just in case. Kate gonna use lurking in the waters just to try and do anything in house plants. My guy, get out. Clutch is here, and that was almost all of your health. You have the level
Kate's
lead.
in no man's
Holy.
land. Kate's off in no man's land for a little bit. Krojiro gets a kill over on the right-hand side onto
2v1.
Serene, taking a 2v1. Gleamer Fletch now forced out away. Buzenbo will return the favor, but this dual lane fight is still going on. Kate is still off in the enemy side jungle. They may eventually end up falling here, but the Washed is going to make sure that they grab every little bit from them. Shell goes down, and Kate's leading them on a merry goose chase, or merry croc chase, it seems. There we go.
And then there's the range of Persephone, who says this chase is going to die. And as that happens, we see Kate finally fall after surviving for quite a bit of time. We do just continue the Washed, finding kills where they want. And you mentioned that solo lane earlier with the trade. that 2v1, that's just not a good sign right now. If Krojiro is able to take 2 members of this DT on his own, they're gonna need to try and figure something out here, Blur, to make sure that that's not happening for the rest of this game, because this is 8.5 minutes in. I'm scared of what he'll be able to do later on if he's able to do that this early.
That is true, though that said, it is only, and I say only, a small gold difference between the two. It's actually the Washed who find themselves up about 500 gold, so barely scraping by for any kind of elite here, and bearing in mind that's most likely going to be just on Krojiro where we're seeing that. It's not too much of a problem, and Houseplants is still up in the mid lane, so it's not all doom and gloom just yet, though I do definitely mirror your response here. If Krojiro can cause this much trouble and fight 2v1, that pressure means that the Wash can start looking over this side. Unfortunately, though, it's DT who are able to find themselves the opportunity to grab that first Gold Fury Scorpion, which has now gone down. Not useful yet, but next round of buffs will certainly be nice. That said, I believe Sentinel of Zeus has gone down. If that chiming sound is anything to be taken here, Krojiro still putting pressure on in this lane.
And he's just halfway ignoring these minions, not caring. But he's going to have to care in a second because he's going to have 2 more members on him. And DT, Buzumbo is going to use his abilities to try and do what he can. But in the back end comes Solo Me. He's doing everything he can to help out his teammate.
Immunity.
Unfortunately, he's going to have to get out as well. More members showing up there. Penny and HD clutch on the back end. Solomi will take Buzumbo down, who's sat too long under the tower. Penny and Clutch, they're just going forward as fast as they can. Will Solring get out? Rinder's Rebuke comes up. Oh, the knockup back with the blink to get out. Solomi, please, will take down Houseplants in the meantime. And these 2 surviving members in this fight. One is far. Okay, Crow, you didn't have to do that.
Is one.
That was
That
was just bullying. He blinks in the dash. He uses everything he's got to guarantee that third or second kill there. Oh my! Wow.
I love it. This is what I want from my solo laner. When I have my solo lane who comes off of a game like last game, I want them to play the most egregious, egotistical, bullying kind of game that they can, because it's just so damning to the mental. And yes, these players are probably very seasoned in the world of ranked, where you just have the worst stomp and then you come and go, let's queue another one. But it still takes a toll, especially in this setting with what's on the line. Keep in mind, these 2 teams, whoever wins this set gets a bye in the first round. There is a lot to play for here. The Wash now more than happy to keep pushing this. They are looking anything but washed. Well, maybe they are washed because they're playing squeaky clean right now.
I see Dinosaur stirred the puns up again.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there? It's like the washed, so it's like, usually that's like you're washed up, but washed, but like
clean. Me, you know I felt that one. Meantime, Ace feeling the pluck, hits it on Hands the Rain, who gets the Disapparate going, and with Moja's healing coming in, gonna provide a little bit of a shield as well. Fletch is gonna use the ultimate, find it on a Kenny, but is not gonna find onto the target he wanted. Instead, gonna see Banners in the Rain get out, get the healing, and they're gonna try and push this dueling up as best they can and try and force Panda to be the one who loses this farm. But Kenny's walking straight into Kate and actually manages to stop Fletch's back. Fletch is gonna go into their own little pool, and the leap over Solby with the ult. It finds the kill at last onto Fletch, lurking a little too long. I think this is Washed Wave saying get back to the tower to back next time. Don't do it in lane. Kate, in the meantime, it's going to keep Solomie from going on to anyone else, as Serene was nearby. And with Crozier here, this Gold Fury is going to be the call.
It certainly is. DT are around, but with the Guan Yu here chasing away, they're not going to get the opportunity to do so. Gold Fury will go for free. We'll pretend we didn't see that drop there as Stellar Burst comes out, so Nova, excuse me. And one thing I want to look at, Panda's picked up a Stone of Foul second item, full item straight away. And this is such an interesting choice. This is a lot of physical and magic protections, and then in the middle of a team fight with the basic attacks, you get so tanky here. This is something that we've seen a little bit before, but it's mostly been the Guardians picking this up. Soul here picking this up is a very strange call, but given the amount of dive that we've seen DT have available to them, and the fact that Soul is very prone to taking some of that damage, the Disapparate not being an instant save, like, for example, the Moor is, or the Whirlpool Furnace, I should say, from Charybdis. This just gives them that survivability, and I love this. That said, it does put a dampener on their damage output. They're trying to levy their damage output by saying, if I'm alive longer, I'll do more damage, rather than just, if I die as quickly, if I die in half the time, I've got to do twice as much damage.
And speaking of doing twice as much damage, I think Krojiro's trying to do twice as much damage as he did all of last game. The aggression here onto Serene, just trying to stop
He's on it.
farming. And
almost twice as much damage as anyone else. That's
yeah, he's
poetic.
about 1,000 damage away from doing that, especially if Panda doesn't fight anyone for a second. But speaking of him fighting someone, he's going towards Fletch immediately, forcing him back, and doesn't want to allow this Chargers to get too much farm. Got himself about a level lead. Oh, this burst, the ult.
Oh, that's so good. Hit it.
With his own, but it doesn't matter. Fletch did it, the ultimate, but the auto coming in from Panda guarantees the kill. Krojiro over the soul, and he's just gonna go back, do what he can, do the usual
Slap.
Guan Yu in solo lane things.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Panda's found Serene and his team. They're coming up slowly but surely. It's Kate here, finding themselves out a little too far away from the jungler. With more members showing up, he's gonna have to go back towards the tier 2. We see that tier 1 tower in left lane has been taking quite a bit of damage. Quite a bit of minions have been allowed through so far. This is going to be interesting what it implicates for the rest of this game, as the Washed at 15 minutes in have 11-3 kill lead, and they're almost 4,000 gold up.
I love this. This isn't even the team fight sustained train of pain that's coming on through. This is just death by 1,000 cuts, or 1,000 Talu assault blows at this point. And the way they're playing this is just, all right, we got some pressure in one lane. Let's try and keep pressuring this. Krojiro has done a phenomenal job dealing with having multiple members in the lane for a long period of time. I think that's fantastic. We've now seen that Pandas in the Rain is more than capable and wanting to box players out. In fact, they're actually going to do so again over here with this 2-level lead they've got. And if they're going to go this way, then it's just going to be lights out for DT. And they're going to look back at this game and go, well, this just kind of all fell apart.
This is something where, depending on how the rest of this game goes, they may be looking back, trying to figure out the start and what they can do differently. In the meantime, the Wash will take the Pyromancer, while Panda's all alone on this left-hand side, dealing with 2 members. And under the tier 1 tower goes Krojiro to deal with the Taiko drums. Houseplant Solomie will clean up the kill. Goes in as Serene, but Clutch is here and says, no, you don't. On the leap away,
This is now Pandas.
Aegis is forced, lurking the waters, and to separate as well. The ultimate from Fletch is here. Wants to find opportunity. Isn't going to hit the mark, but he does on a Solomie, who blinked right into it. So instead, we're going to see Fletch go away as soon as possible. Kate, 1 HP in a dream. And oh no, the show looks like has been popped. To keep him alive a little bit longer on the back end is Buzimbo trying to help get Krojiro low. But he's not going to be taking down Clutch. Instead, we'll take down Fletch. Panda gets Kate, and it's the Soul Later all on their own, surrounded by all 5 members. The Shred comes in. The Thorns has popped the leap over the wall. Maybe surviving just long enough, but it looks like the Washed, they don't care. They're hovering around this tier 2 instead, allow minions in, and they let Buzimbo back.
Well, there's that. Where do I even start on a fight like that? We go from 2 members over in the duo lane fighting Panda, who just says, okay then, let's go. Let's see what you can do. It's now level 17, by the way, with a 4-level lead. So, what do the Wash do? They said, let's go Pyromancer. Come out from Pyromancer, the fight's still going on in left. Krojiro goes towards mid. Houseplants gets duressed under the tower. Serene throws an ult under the tower, and last game that would have been devastating, but this game, no one on the Wash cares. They get picked up, they get a pick up on Houseplant under there. The fight in left is still going. Then they're able to meander over, as if there's no care in the world, over into there. Panda is still in the rain, is still in the green health because of Bancrofts and the way that they've been able to play this. Pops Aegis, gets both the ults, and then everything falls apart just so quickly there. The Wash now grouping up in this situation. They can take whatever fight they want.
Rojiro going hard on the backline. Pandas in the rain in the meantime will take down Serene. And they're surging forward. Solomie joins Solar to take down Houseplants, Fletch, and Kate, the next two targets. Fletch is gonna use the ultimate, manages to push two back, but it doesn't matter. Pandas in the rain is here to take him down for another kill this fight. Fletch falling low. Kate will secure it, but Rojiro takes down Buzenbo, and Kate will fall as well. Triple kill out of the ADC of the Washed. Oni Fury will be theirs.
Will certainly be that. Honestly, this could even be fire as well, the way that this team works. The sustain train of pain is here, and there are no breaks. Oh, sure, there's anti-heal, but there ain't no way you are dealing with this. There's just an absolute indomitable force barreling through the lanes. 7,000 gold here at 19 minutes in. Not even stopping for the tier 1 tower. They'll push the minions in, and they are going straight for this fire giant now, and I absolutely love this. There is such an exorbitant lead in this duo lane and this solo lane and this jungle that I just want them to press as hard as they can. Shireen is here and doesn't have the ult to stop it. They're going to have to go in with a dream here for this.
They don't even bother decide to back off, play it safe, and stay alive. And in the meantime, I do want to mention that the Wash, during all of this, lost a couple of towers. So they're actually down DT in the towers for now, with the Fire Giant call can open up plenty of opportunity for them to clean that up in the meantime. So we see DT dealing with these Oni waves best they can outside of solo lane. Rojiro is leading that one head on as far as he can, as he's backing. Buzenbo will show up to deal with this wave. So the Washed, with those Oni minions, they do get the Fire Giant. They don't get anything else. So we're going to have to see what they're able to do with this FG. In the meantime, Blur, the difference in build between these junglers coming through yet again.
Now, a complete... if we say that the Jotuns and the Brawlers are about even and the Crusher Hydras are about even, there's still a whole item ahead for Solomie, please, and in that Arendite. So a huge chunk of power available to them. And I just feel like Serene's not able to be a front line that they need to as a warrior, but they're also not able to do enough damage as an assassin for this, and it's kind of this weird middling ground that's unfortunately stumbling here, and no one on DT can step up right now. Gamer Fetch is still way too underleveled to be able to come in, hasn't even got their third item online, their main pen. They are going to opt for Kins online now. Kate can't tank this, Buzenbo can't tank this. I mean, there's a Sunder available on Kilkenny as well, so there's no way that anyone can try and deal with this. You can't even turn around and say, oh, Nike, oh, nope, that shield will be deleted in an instant. And now we're just seeing the slow, methodical grind down. DT are posturing at their towers, but the moment that anyone from Wash shows up, just look how quickly everyone's like, we're backing up, and leave. They're just letting these towers go down. This gold lead now, 11,000, is going to get at least 1,000 bigger.
And the Wash is taking everything away from disabled tables outside of the Phoenixes. And DC understands they can't afford to fight into this under tier 2s right now with how grouped the Washed are. So they're going to try and defend this left-hand Phoenix if the Wash decide to commit to this. And with this pinning wave here, we will see if they do. Kenny goes on in, wave gets deleted. You take a bit of Phoenix, but the Rivers Review comes up on the back line as Solomie and Krojiro. Oh, this cavalry charge may be big. Forces the beast. Teleport comes out. So Houseplant will survive for a little bit longer. The ultimate from Fletch will knock Solomie please back. Quite a bit of damage. These two may fall. Fletch in the meantime takes down Buzenbo. And Solomie gets Fletch in return. The root comes through. He gets a double kill on the Kate. And what looks like an advantage for them. Krojiro finds Houseplants. This may be game number 2 in the set. Only Serene alive. No ultimate available. Goes in. He's going to use the drop kick. We'll find a double stun, but clutches air with a burst again. D aside. That's game 2. That's the set going the way of the Washed.
The Wash may not have started that engagement under the Phoenix, but they certainly put an end to it. Phenomenal play there coming out from the Wash. The dive from Crow and Solo. able to stick together, take down everyone. The fact that I don't even know how they're able to do this. The fact that Clutch gets a clutch ultimate in that situation as they are being harassed around the backside by Serene, still finds an ult that hits 3 members under the Phoenix. Absolutely phenomenal work. And then it just comes back to, as soon as one member's low and in trouble, sustain, get them near a healer, cause some trouble. And look at these player healing numbers. They don't look like a lot. Ooh, 5,000. Ooh, two 5,000s. But bearing in mind that the highest player damage on the entire team was 12,000. That's ridiculous. You completely mitigated the entirety of Raijin's damage the whole game. That's just ridiculous.
Well, game number 1 ended in dominant fashion, but game 2 was nothing but dominance from minute number 1 for the Washed. Sadly, DT, they aren't able to take it to a game number 3, so they fall 2-0, and the Washed have set themselves up in a good spot looking at the tournament coming up soon. So in the meantime, to break down this set, we're going to throw it back to the desk to talk about this one.
All right, I think we're live. Well, that was an exciting game 2 for sure. And the Wash definitely secure themselves the first round bye and the number 2 seed going into the playoffs. So a big game from them. And overall, just an absolute dominant performance in that game too.
Right. I think game 1, I think Vengeance really hit it on the head. Game 1, it was a very close game. Game 2 was not. I mean, that was just from minute 1, it was playing on solo side, and I was really inspired by your drawing last time, Mr. Dino. Hang on, let me make sure you guys can see this perfectly. I was really inspired by Krojiro's pick, the Guan Yu, and so therefore we have Mr. Guan Yu, and of course he's riding in on that pony, deal lots of damage, and so that was just a great game overall. By by Krojiro, but I'm saying Krojiro's name a lot. But honestly, it was a great game overall by that roster. I mean, they had a fantastic game. It was Krojiro in the early. It was pretty much everyone else from mid to late. I don't know what to tell you, man. That was just a good game and a dominant game overall.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to break that one down, right? Because it's just a case of you get down early and it's just a snowball. And the way that Smite is, when you get down early, you're basically relying on the other team making a mistake. And the Washed really didn't make too many mistakes for them to capitalize. So, what do? You kind of sit there. Maybe you can hope with picks and bans that you have a more late game comp that can come online. But if the other team doesn't let you get to late game, I guess that's not really relevant.
Right, and I agree. The Wash didn't make a lot of mistakes that game. I think they played their comp really well off of how they should by way of snowballing. DT, I think, have to take a look back at their comps and how they're drafting as well as how they're playing them. I don't think there's ever a reason you should let Kurjiro get that big so quickly, or you shouldn't be looking to fight where they're looking to fight. You should be looking to fight on your terms, if that makes sense. You should be playing around your power spikes, your comp, so to speak, unless theirs. I think you just go back to the drawing board and say, at the end of the day, we lost, but we got playoffs to prep for. We got to scrim as much as humanly possible this week and iron out some issues we have. And I actually think they can make a run at playoffs. DT, I think if they iron out some of their issues, I think they will make a good run. But we'll honestly just have to wait and see how the tables, potentially turn. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly you can look at game 1 and that was a really, really good game for them. And I think that that's something that you can kind of take away, right? If you're disabled tables and kind of look at that, be like, hey, you know what? We had a bad game 2, but game 1 didn't go too bad, obviously right around, we talked about that 20-minute mark, things sort of fell off for them. And I think that you can look at that 20-minute mark and be like, okay, what happened here? How do we correct this? Looking at game 2, we talked about that Charybdis pick. Do you feel like that was get a little snort? Do you feel like that was maybe the problem they had, or was it? I mean, would they have done better with a different hunter? Did the Charybdis cost them the game?
I don't think the Charybdis cost them the game. I think it was definitely the fact that they didn't have much of a winning side lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
They had what Charybdis Nike, and neither of those really win their side lanes. You're kind of relying on houseplants to just hard win his lane as much as possible, and if that doesn't work out, good luck, have fun, because you're not having a winning side lane right now, and so I think you just need a lane of some sort to lean on in those situations, especially when you're just in the drafting phase. You just have to be like, okay, listen, we're not winning. If we're picking Charybdis here, we need to pick something with pressure and solo that's gonna at least win, because I'm gonna get frozen on my wave and not really do much this game. So good luck, have fun, guys.
right. Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head. They didn't have much of a winning lane option, right? Either side there in mid lane. I mean, maybe the Raijin could have made something happen, but into Persephone, I think you're kind of asking a bit much.
Right. Well,
Right.
I think that does it for us here.
Yeah, I think that will conclude our broadcast for tonight from the Albion Giants League. But don't go anywhere. We are going to throw a raid over to our fellow desk member and community member, Nevea.